Hi, I'm Alexis, CEO of We Transact and the RealRaise Virtual Village. We're here in Q3 for the RealRaise Summit today. And what's really exciting is that we're kicking it off. Today's Sip and Share is featuring an incredible group of founders. And it's exciting to see the founders here in the room who've joined us all the way from Oklahoma. Of course, virtually online, we're all just a camera away these days. This is Wrist.World that we'll be looking at today, and who will be introducing them and presenting Wrist.World is Brent. Brent is a part of Loveworks. He also is an entrepreneur and has many, many projects that he's involved with as well. So we love to introduce these allies in the ecosystem because, as we all know, we have incredible superpowers that we can share and help each other on no matter what projects we're working on or startups or investments that we have in our portfolios. So let me pass it over to Brent. Nobody can really give the intro better than the person themselves. Brent, hi, welcome. And why don't you introduce yourself, who you are, and maybe a little bit about Loveworks, because not everybody in our virtual village may be yet familiar.
Well, hi, Alexis, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of this today. This is really, really awesome, and I can't wait to share about, well, really, I can't wait to let the kids share about what they're doing. But Loveworks Leadership is a leadership development program in Norman, Oklahoma. And in recent years, it has evolved into a youth entrepreneurship program as well. And so we help kids basically dream big and then make those dreams happen and not wait till they're 40 years old to do it, but they start doing it while they're still kids. Predominantly middle school is where we start working with students. Most of the students you'll hear today started Wrist.World in middle school. Chris, who you'll hear in just a little bit, is still in middle school, and some of them have moved on to high school now. But we work with students to help them build entrepreneurial concepts and then bring that to reality. We just launched a new program called Early that is rolling out in school districts across Oklahoma, and it's a youth entrepreneurship elective, basically, that students can take, and it walks them through the process of building a company. But all of that got started with Loveworks experimenting with some startups of its own, working through their students. And so Wrist.World, and I don't want to say too much because I don't want to steal the thunder of the students, but this is how Wrist.World started. There was a group of students that came to the table and said, we'd like to be part of a tech startup. And that led to the beginning of Wrist.World. And this was 4 years ago. And so they've been working at this diligently for 4 years, very dedicated to building their company. So that's kind of the backstory. And Alexis, should I just turn it over to the team and let them share their?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the graphics, like I said, the first time I opened up the deck that you guys sent over, that first slide, I was like, I want to know more. So yeah, let me think that is probably what everybody in the audience is excited to see too. Learn what is Wrist.World and hear it from the founders.
Yeah, so they've got a little presentation kind of thing, a little informal presentation they'll go through, and then we can talk all about it.
Awesome.
All right, well, let's just get started then. I'm Emma Wilbarger, the Chief Marketing Officer of Wrist.World. And kind of like Brent was saying, around 4 years ago, we asked the question, what would it be like for middle school students to do a real Silicon Valley style tech startup? And so we answered this question by forming a 9-member team of middle school students. And we knew we wanted to do something with the technology augmented reality, but we weren't exactly sure what. So we went through the process of brainstorming and working together as a team, and we landed on what is called Wrist.World. And it's exactly how it sounds. It's a whole world right on your wrist. And you can move to the next slide.
Yeah.
Cool.
Go one more slide. Okay. Hi, I'm Arya, and I'm on the product team. And Wrist.World is an augmented reality video game that consists of slap bands and augmented reality to create a gaming experience like no other. There are 4 bands that make up Wrist.World, and each of these is like a different level or world of the game. To play the game, just scan any of these 4 bands with our app, and the game will pop up in 3D. We have 2 modes to play in, game mode and wrist mode. In game mode, you can play through our storyline, solve puzzles, and collect different abilities that you can show off in wrist mode.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And when we first started, we created our prototype. And after that, we decided to take it to the New York International Toy Fair, which is on the next slide. And at the toy fair, we got lots of great feedback. And when we came back, we decided to run a Kickstarter campaign to fund our product, which is on the next slide. And during these 2 months, we went around spreading the word about Wrist.World. We were trying to raise funding, and we eventually succeeded in raising $23,000, which successfully led us to create a product. And
Okay, that's
during this
amazing,
time,
by the way. So, little quick round of
thank you.
applause on that one. Kickstarter is hard to get attention, so great job.
And while we were spreading the word about Wrist.World, we ended up going to TEDx OU. And in the audience in that presentation was a representative from OnCue. And through her, that's how we got into our first retailer. And now we're in all 55 stores across Oklahoma in OnCues, which was great. So in 2020, we decided to go back to the New York Toy Fair, but this time we met someone named Max from a company called Krypton Future Media. And from them, we ended up licensing the character called Hatsune Miku. Now, you might not know who she is, so on the next slide, Hatsune Miku is a singing voice synthesizer, which means that people can use her voice in a software to make songs. This character has millions of followers worldwide and is quickly gaining an even bigger fan base in the US through different events, such as the Miku Expo.
Now, like Arya said, we ran an ad during this Miku Expo. But before I tell you what happened, I need to explain kind of what Miku does. So like Arya said, she's a virtual singing synthesizer, but she actually does performances across the world on stage as a hologram. And so this is really awesome because we thought, Miku's a hologram and our product is kind of like a hologram. So the two just fit together really well. And so Miku actually had a big virtual expo online due to COVID, since they couldn't do a lot of people watching her in a room. And so we actually ran an ad during this expo, and it took off. It went viral on multiple social media platforms, and fans were going crazy over this actually zero budget ad that we had created. Here you can see some of the fan art that our fans created, Miku on our wristbands, and even one person created a magazine cover with the words from our ad. And on the next slide, you can see that we had to respond to all of these fans. And so we did that by creating handwritten cards and sending them in each of our bands that we sold. And our fans absolutely loved that as well. Here you can see some of the cards and the pictures they took with our emails that we sent. And so on the next slide, with all of this traction, we were able to get nominated for the Licensing International Award. And now this was a huge deal for our team because, we're just this small company from Oklahoma running with companies like Nintendo, Jurassic Park, and Oculus. And so this was just incredible for our team because, we're just a small company, like I said. And so just running next to these huge companies was interesting. And even though we didn't win this award, it was awesome to see what our small company could do.
That is such a huge honor, you guys. That just to be nominated and to be in this circle is huge, for sure.
And after everything that we've been through, we are currently online on Amazon, Walmart.com, Newegg, and we are in store at OnCue, a local gas station chain in Oklahoma, 50 Love stores across the state of Oklahoma, and HMV, which if you don't recognize that name, you might want to call up one of your British friends because it is actually a pop culture store in the UK, similar to maybe like... I can't really think of an example, but yeah.
Cool. International. I love it. I mean, that's what's very exciting about your product.
I almost forgot. And our website, Wrist.World. Next slide. And so this is just showing how international this truly is. This is a screen grab of our website sales on Wix from 2021 alone. Each dot represents each sale of a Wrist.World band, multiple bands. And you can see on each of the 7 major continents, you've got all over the US, all over Europe, all over the world. And it's just crazy because we're just kids from, I mean, like, you know, I'm not trying to diss on Norman. It's a nice town, but like, it's just a small town in Oklahoma. And look at it. We're all over the world. It's crazy.
You guys are. You're on every continent.
Yeah,
And I just want to point that out. Incredible job. And this is primarily organic, really through the community and everything you guys did. Amazing. I just have to point that.
And then keep in mind, every single spot that you see on this map was a website sale between January and December of 2021.
Wow. Right in the pandemic.
Next slide, please.
Incredible.
And so after all of this, it's not just Miku alone in this. She has 5 other friends, Rin, Len, Kaito, Maiko, and Luca. And the fans, after we released Miku, all of the fans, which you would be surprised how many people actually like this. It's like, before I was on the Wrist.World, you may have never heard it, but the hashtag Hatsune Miku has 4.6 billion views on TikTok. Crazy. But this is the MCU, not the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Miku Cinematic Universe. With her 5 friends releasing this very, very soon on our on the rest of our Wrist.World bands after high public demand. And that's it. Any questions?
First of all, congratulations, you guys. This is so great. Your presentation is amazing. Your enthusiasm. I'd love to learn about you guys. How did you find each other? Was it in the Loveworks project? Is that where you guys met? Or were you like friends in school? How did this happen? How did you find each other as founders?
Yeah, so this was all through Loveworks, and each of us had attended a business boot camp from Loveworks, and that was a 5-day experience, to try and create your own company from scratch. And at the end, Mr. Brent from Trifecta came up and talked about Wrist.World. It was an opportunity to start a tech startup, and we all submitted resumes to get in, and that's how we got to know each other.
And then me personally, I was now one of the founders because Loveworks in 2018 with only middle school students, and I was 8 in 2018, 4 years ago. So I actually I had started in February of 2021. Loveworks launched the business boot up program, which was basically just every Monday night at 6 you would get on a Zoom for about an hour and you would try to think of an idea on your own time for a business. And then it was a lot like the business boot up camp, but just spread out over a few weeks, and you would sell at the local farmers market. And so after I had sold at the farmers market twice, I got invited to the Loveworks annual fundraiser dinner. And there was a pitch competition at that dinner. I was one of 5 people invited for a $500 prize. And although I did not win that $500 prize, I did win this $250 crowd favorite check that I have behind me hanging on my wall.
I was going to ask you about that because I saw it in the background. And it's always exciting to see a big check on the wall. I should put one here.
Here. Look, it says Loveworks Leadership, Chris's Creations, $250, $923.21. So that's it. The check I won. Wrist.World was at the Wrist.World team. I think someone on the team had recently left, and they were kind of starting to think that they were going to age out soon, and they saw me, and they called my dad. I've been on the team for almost 10 months.
Wow.
Just weird. It doesn't feel like that long, but
when it goes by so fast, I think that's probably what you guys working on a project like this, time flies, especially if so many exciting things are happening. It's like a month later and you're like, what happened to last month? So that definitely is a sign that you guys are on the right track and headed. Share with us a little bit, Brent, what's so special about this team? I mean, we could all see it for ourselves, but what was one of the early signs of what you saw in them that got you excited to really, be a part of this with them and help guide them on this experience?
Well, Alexis, I'm going to answer that with what's special about them when we found them and what's special about them now, because they have grown quite a bit,
Yeah.
not just in size, but in ability. And, when we first did this, they all, as Chris and Aria and Emmett had mentioned, they had all participated in a business boot up camp at Loveworks or some other programming. So they were already working down this road. And we had Loveworks had experimented with another youth startup that was a culinary type. It was a salsa company, and they managed to get that salsa into grocery stores around Oklahoma City, and I thought that was really neat. And so at the time, I wasn't officially affiliated with Loveworks. I had my own company, and it was a kind of a tech company. And so, but I had been volunteering, and our staff had been volunteering with the camps and doing some augmented reality breakout sessions. And I got with the director, Michael Hirsch, and said, wouldn't it be neat if there was a middle school created tech startup, and he's like, we should do it. And so we put out a call for students, and these students signed up, and we interviewed them, and they had to start turning resumes and this kind of thing. And we picked an initial cohort of 10 students. I believe 8 of those students are still part of the team today. For various reasons, a couple had to go, and then Chris came in a little later. But what I think is really neat, there's 2 examples I can think of. When they first started, our staff and some other folks really had to do a lot of work to teach them how do you 3D model, how do you create these AR elements, how do you work with the various software programs that develop this. And it was coming in with a pretty fresh slate. I mean, they had some background in it. Fast forward to today, and Aria and his product development team pretty much do it themselves. They have very little outside assistance in creating all of this, and they've been through the vice, so to speak. They had to do this product with a Japanese company, Hatsune Miku, very particular about how every detail of that character looked, and so they went through that process of, nope, it's still not right. Nope, it's still not right. And they would keep coming back with changes, and they worked through it, but it made them so much better. So I think about it from that vantage point. And then I also think about some of the first times we would go out and talk to people about this product. There was a little bit of hesitancy. They were a little intimidated by this whole thing. And then fast forward to this year, this summer, a couple of team members, I think Emma was part of the team, went to the licensing expo in Las Vegas, where all the big licensing companies come together, and it was a pretty
me, Emma, and then one other member who could not be here today.
Great experience.
Right.
Oh, well, we shout out to them.
Yeah.
But I was so impressed. I mean, these companies were big companies. They were name brands that you would try to connect with to do licensing deals, and they were like walled fortresses. You would go into this exhibition hall, and they weren't like coming out to talk to you. They had these gatekeepers, and they were having private meetings, and we're just nobodies, there. And so I was so impressed to see the team actually just go up to those gatekeepers and talk the talk and convince them that they were worth talking to. And there were a few meetings that, I mean, Emma, you might share one of the stories. I mean, there was a meeting that they were not, none of these people were interested in talking to us, but you were able to go in there. Do you want to share that, Emma, with Samurai Rabbit?
Yeah, of course. So like Brent was saying, they're just these walled fortresses. And so we didn't never have any scheduled meetings with anyone. We had like one with a company that we had met at a toy fair the previous year. But yeah, we didn't have any meetings. And so we were just walking by the booths, hoping that we could catch someone's attention with our product. And we happened to walk by this one kind of smaller booth, but it still looked awesome what they had going on. And the lady at the front kind of just started talking to us, and we ended up sharing a little bit about our product. And she was like, I think our guy is in between meetings. If you guys want to sit down, we'll meet with you. And so this was kind of like light bulb moment. We were like, this is awesome. Who knew? Like, we would be there at that perfect time to meet with him. And so now we're actually working working on a possible deal with that company. And so, just those small connections you can make just by going through, it was really incredible.
I don't think that would have happened the first year. I don't think they would have had the confidence to be able to just walk up to these stern people at these booths and, try to get past that gatekeeper and really talk it up. So there's a lot of growth that I've seen with the students.
And it was so just incredible because me personally, I could not get into the expo floor because you had to have like a driver. You had to be over the age of 18 to get in. So I could not get in, but I unfortunately did not have that experience. But I did still get to go to some of the meetings, and it was crazy because the expo was in Las Vegas. It was in the Mandalay Bay Convention Center on the south end. The south end of the strip, and it was just so crazy because we got food at the food court, and then we would go down, and we were about to meet with a company that we've known for a while and have kind of mentored us, and it was just crazy because we were walking by these like private suites, and you would just see, and there was a sign that would say like Disney, Mattel, Hasbro,
yeah,
and then you could kind of peek in.
Wrist.World.
You're
right there, and
you could kind of peek in. You could peek in and like see some businessman in his big old suit, just like, doing his thing. And it was crazy.
It's the experience you guys got to have there. And to have that, like you said, you have to build up to that because it can be intimidating, right? It's like you're always stepping into a bigger arena. And you're going to have bigger ones even in the future. And you're going to probably be that next big stage that others may be intimidated. I think this is such an incredible story because, Emma, for you to just walk up and start talking to somebody, we always discuss that with entrepreneurs ourselves. Everything starts with a conversation. It's just like this, just having a conversation, sharing what you're doing. It starts with two people, and it's always just that, a conversation with somebody. You're not just walking into Disney or walking in, it starts with just talking to somebody, and then that leads to maybe the perfect moment like you guys had that, oh, we got a little break here. And it's a combination of being open and just keep sharing what you're doing, because it is always, there's somebody out there who's going to even hear this, or you just never know who you're talking to and the door that will lead you to. So it's an exciting thing to learn as an entrepreneur, but at an expo like that, it's very exciting because you feel like you got past like I would say on a video game, you feel like you made it to the next level. Oh, we got in, so congrats on that. That's very cool. Arya, I'd love to hear from you about that experience that Brent was talking about, working with a Japanese brand and company and going back and forth. And what was that like? Was that hard in the beginning? Tell us a little bit about what that was like. Not everybody has gone through that. Even entrepreneurs 3 times your age necessarily haven't yet had that experience with a Japanese company and doing business internationally.
One of our problems that we had was just like a difference in time zones. Maybe we'd submit something to them and it'll take 2 or 3 weeks for them to get back. And if there's any little changes, we'd have to do that after 2 or 3 weeks. So that was a bit of a struggle, but it definitely gave us a lot of experience, and that was a great opportunity.
I mean, it was pretty hard, and it still is pretty hard, because especially the fact that because of the difference in time zones, we would get like emails back. We would send it out like midday, and we would get emails back at like 3 a.m. and then we would wake up, and by the time we responded, they're already asleep. And then they were very, very particular about how we 3D modeled there. And I'm not even on the 3D I'm not even on the product team, but I literally it was like every single meeting we would be like talking about this, and they literally, like, the smallest little thing, like one
Yeah.
single strand of hair is on her shoulder, it needs to be off her shoulder. It was just,
Yeah,
it was hard, but I mean,
it's amazing.
I think it was good because it taught us the extreme of licensing, like the extreme of licensing, and we're working with a few different licensing companies right now, and who are not as strict as they are. So I think it's real, because I think if we had an easy license product, it wouldn't have prepared us as much as Krypton would have.
You guys have
Hey,
the boot
Arya, do
camp.
you want to maybe just characterize what, like, the level of growth that you've experienced just when you started and working with Krypton and doing the things we've done, like the change in your skill set?
Well, at the beginning, we were still like getting help from an intern from a university to help us with our 3D modeling and animations to help submit it to them. And a few months later, the entire product team, me and another student, were entirely doing the models by ourselves. And that was great.
Amazing.
And we're working on 5 sets of characters now. And I'm working on that right now, actually. And it's
That
great.
is awesome. Now, were you always into anime? Was this a passion of yours, or comics, or is this like a whole new
Not
world?
specifically,
Okay.
not specifically Hatsune Miku. I didn't know who she was before this licensing deal, but yeah, I was always interested in 3D modeling and creating video games, and this is a great experience too.
That is
But
amazing.
I mean, it's just so weird, because like before we got Hatsune Miku licensed, we had absolutely no idea who she was. But it's her and her whole friends, the Miku cinematic universe, it's all a very niche thing, but there are a lot of people involved. Like I previously mentioned, the hashtag Hatsune Miku has 4.6 billion views on TikTok.
Yeah.
I've seen it just in my personal life, and I mean, every time I see something relating to Miku, I'm like, oh, that's the thing, that's the thing that I'm with. But I mean, I don't think that my brain has like fully realized that it's not that small. It's really a big company, and it's really a big product that they're doing.
Yeah.
It's been really big.
It's visible with that map when you guys
Right.
showed the map of,
Yeah.
all the different places in the world that customers are. And that's really phenomenal. Working with customers around the world, we're talking a lot of continents and languages. And so are you guys doing the business in English? How are you handling customers from around the world? And anything you could share there, because that's a whole learning curve too, to have customers everywhere.
Mhm. So right now, our game is entirely in English, and our songs are too.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. So that is showing the power of this character, that they draw, such demand to interact with the character, that English is, something that even if their native language is not English, they're still like, they'll do what it takes.
Alexis, I think that one of the things that they really hit on, and maybe Emma, since you're the marketing person, you can touch on this.
Yeah.
When we started to see that they did that Miku Expo, that online expo, which was a little bit of a surprise. We didn't really know what kind of response they would get in it. And they really went viral. I mean, it became quite a deal. And there's a whole story behind that, but it just took off within the Miku community. And they were just all the fan art and things that Emma showed earlier. But I think it's how the team, from a customer relationship standpoint, chose to respond to that, particularly with mailing the product and what they kind of go in. And Emma, do you want to just share kind of that sort of effort to be a responsive company when the fans started to pile on?
Yeah, it was interesting because I mentioned that we actually wrote handwritten cards and sent them in each of our bands that we sold. And so that was a fun experience because handwriting all of those cards takes a long time to do. But we definitely wanted to make sure, we're making each customer feel like they're special. And we want them to have the best experience possible, even if they're all the way over in Japan or wherever we're sending this product to. Miku has a lot of her fans in Japan. However, in the US, she's gained this huge following. And so each one of those fans is important to us. And so we wanted to make sure they felt special by writing handwritten cards.
That's amazing.
And we saw the response from that from social media when
Okay.
when these people started to receive these bands in the mail, and it had a handwritten card from a kid that created it. I mean, they were posting it on Twitter, on, various social Instagram, and it was really fun to see how much they appreciated that. And I think it was a teachable moment for these students that, when you can take and add a little something special into it, you're not sending it just in a box and they get it, but you've made it special. And I think, Alexis, you touched on the whole relationship aspect. I think that's building relationship. People feel connected. They don't just feel like we're some faceless company, that sent them something. And so I really feel like that for the students, that was an important kind of wow moment where they were like, oh, this is how you cut through the clutter. This is how you really connect with people, and how important that is.
I love that. It absolutely, you guys really to understand or to have experienced that. It also reignites, I'm sure, your excitement for what you're doing. Because as you work on a project, you guys have been working at this, was it 4 years now together? 4 years, there's a lot of ups and downs. It's not all easy. I mean, you're sharing this exciting, story with us, but when you get that feedback from the customer that they appreciate it, that they like it, that they're reposting those thank you notes, how did that make you feel?
It was pretty incredible. I mean, we've always been taught, at Loveworks, we always write thank you notes. We always want to make sure that we get across how grateful we are for what we get to experience. And so, it was kind of first nature for us because we were like, okay, well, we have to write cards. But yeah, it was incredible to see just how much they appreciated the cards and the product. And we had no idea how much it would blow up on Twitter and social media in general. And so as the marketing officer, it's kind of crazy because, this Miku Expo ran and all these fans were commenting and over and copy pasta out the wazoo. And it was crazy. And, once they realized that we were kids, they even were applauding us. It was like this Miku community who they would never have known who we were. Once they found out we were kids, they were so excited. It went from just the product was cool to way up here. And so, yeah, it was an amazing feeling.
Wow, to make it to that point, to get that feedback. And I absolutely, I think that's an asset, right? We talk about different superpowers that we all have, and your superpowers even change throughout your life, which is really exciting. But you guys really tapped into a superpower here that you guys have. You exceeded the expectations. People were surprised that you're junior high. Your age, you exceeded that expectation, and to leverage that as a superpower makes you stand out as well. And to be able to stand out with your customers where not necessarily all the large companies would be able to send all of their customers handwritten notes, but you guys took advantage of that superpower, that asset you had, which is like, hey, we're a small team, we can do this, we can take the time. And it's obviously paid off because, word of mouth is a big thing. Can you share a little bit about, this marketing viral? When people say viral, they think of lots of different things. They think of, hashtags and things taking off. How much money did it take for you guys? Because we're going to get to some of the things that you guys are working on now. You had your Kickstarter, 23,000, but how much money did you have to put into the marketing side to get that viral?
Well, it all started with the ad we ran. And so we didn't spend any money on creating the ad. It was all zero budget. However, it did cost money, to actually put it on the Miku Expo. And I think, if I'm correct, it was around $2,000 to get it.
It was a little more than that.
A little more. Okay.
Thousands. More. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely up there. And so.
It's up there.
Yes. And so we had no idea, we were like, okay, we're putting a lot of money towards this. And it could go great, or it could, flop. And so once we got that great feedback, we knew that, 2021 sales, that was our best year to come. And so it was incredible just to see how many sales came from that. And, we regained our money, and it was incredible.
Alexis, I think what they got to experience at the Miku Expo is what some people would refer to as guerrilla marketing, in the sense that they didn't have a big budget. They spent most of the money to buy the spot, on the air. And I thought we were really out of our league a little bit, in the sense that, this was a homemade commercial that they created. It was a 15-second spot that we could run. And there were two other companies. It ran in a block of commercials during the expo. Every set, every song she sang, they would run these 3 commercials. And it was our commercial. And then it was a commercial from Nintendo and a commercial from Sega. Okay. And so you had these 2 giant international companies with these beautiful polished
and
commercials.
You're right in the middle.
And then you have ours. And it was pretty clear after the 3rd or 4th time they showed this block of commercials, like, hey, something's not the same here as these others. And people it was on Twitch, and people on the thread began commenting like, what is this Wrist.World thing? I mean, who are these people? How did they get on here? And the team did something really smart, I think, before this, and they made friends with some influencers in the Hatsune Miku universe. And there was one lady from Dallas, Texas. Her Miku name was Mama Meeks. So she went by, and she had a huge following of maybe 30, 40,000 people that followed her on Instagram and so forth. And they had sent her product and let her try it, and she loved it, and she thought it was great. And so she knew who we were. And when this Twitch feed started on this international stream, she chimed in and said, hey, these are kids, by the way, that made this commercial and that made this product. Did you guys know they're in middle school? And that changed the whole deal. And all of a sudden, people just piled on, and they were like, they almost like were on a mission to make it go viral, because they loved, and that's a testament to the Miku community. It's a maker community. It's a creative community. And I think they just saw when kids were doing something like this and were able to break into that they wanted to support it. And so it was sort of one of those rare situations where you got lucky and you didn't have to spend a lot of money, to make it happen. But there were a lot of things that they did that were right, that led to that opportunity.
Yeah, you made your own luck. It sounds like, in a lot of ways, because you know your customers so well. You know that they love makers, and they are makers, and they're going to get behind. And they also probably love an underdog story too. They want the one that's not necessarily the big one to like go viral and to help to really join the bandwagon. That is brilliant. You guys reached out and sending product. And it comes back to this exact same theme with you guys, which is so exciting to share and remind everybody out there, which is it came from a conversation. It came from sending someone a wristband and saying, hey, try it out. Tell us what you think. And that's how you got your influencer. That's how you got that first meeting when you were in the expo. I mean, it's always just those little things that can really make a huge, huge difference. I congratulate you guys for doing that, because that is something that I think sometimes as companies grow, they forget, right? That's actually the heart and soul of what it is you guys are doing. Well, what are you working on now? Let's get to how we can help you. Of course, a lot of people in our community have a lot of additional superpowers that they also will probably want to reach out and connect with you and support in any way they can. So let's talk about where you guys are, what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish. Yeah, let's just put it all out there and see what we can attract from the virtual village here.
Yeah, so, Arya, did you have something?
Yeah, so some of the things that could help us are connections to larger retailers, connections to marketing, and potential funding too. And Emma had more to say.
Awesome.
Yes.
How much funding are you guys asking for? I know that's, you got to get comfortable, and it's just always great practice to throw out the big numbers out there. You just say it like, it is. So what would be the goal right now for your funding?
Well, we haven't necessarily talked too much about it, and unfortunately we don't have any finance members with us today. However, we're working with a few different companies, thinking about what we're doing, and I think this could be completely off, but I'm pretty sure we talked about around $20,000.
Okay. And I'm sure with the different projects, this can grow because you guys are quickly growing. So as you have more opportunities, more projects, more things, that number goes up. But definitely, it's great to just kind of throw something out there and see if we can pull that somehow from the community here. Like I said, a lot of founders also invest in fellow founders because we've all been in your shoes. We are ourselves founders. A lot of the investors were founders. So we're in a very friendly community, and we get it. We know you're building, numbers are going to change. So they will be able to reach out to you guys, and you guys can have more discussions with them about it. So that finance person or you guys as a team, you'll have plenty of time to connect with everybody in our virtual village. You know, in terms of the partnerships and things, what would be like the ideal types of partnerships? Because there's so many different partnerships out there right now. Would it be like would it be a Disney? Or do you guys want to go for more niche type characters and worlds? What are
So
kind of your
potentially, yeah,
thoughts on that?
any licensing deal it would be great for us to consider. And there's not really something specific we're looking for right now.
Yeah,
I will
right
say,
now-
Opportunity.
the Disneys of the world require a bit more experience in licensing than we have right now, and so they would be looking for middle tier type things that have a large audience and maybe even a niche audience perhaps, but don't have some of the same requirements that a large brand like Disney would want to see. And they want to see like maybe 5 years of licensing experience before you can even talk to them in many cases. And so,
Yeah.
but they're on their way. They're working on that. So
That's it. And if there's anybody in the virtual village, I can, like they say, grease the wheel so that you can, as you guys, you're almost to the 5-year mark probably pretty soon. Before you know it, time will fly. But that's great for the community to know, kind of the things right now that would help you get to that next milestone, that next funding. Is there any obstacles right now or challenges you guys are having? Any expertise that you would love to maybe have some input or anything that might help you, a problem you're working on right now that you're facing?
would one of you guys like to speak to the retail side of it?
Great.
Yeah, so right now we're mainly just based in Oklahoma, On-Q stores, Love stores, which are international, or I'm sorry, nationwide. But yeah, so we're only really in two big chains across Oklahoma. And so we're really hoping to break out into the national level. And, you know, we have our online sales, which have been doing great, but we're really looking for more brick and mortar stores that we can get into to reach more customers that aren't necessarily as tech savvy and online and looking, you know, to find these type of products. And so, you know, just with On-Q and Loves, it's done great. And so we're hoping that if we get into more stores and more retailers, that we'll be able to have that same experience with them as well.
Amazing. So we've got funding, licensing opportunities, getting into retail stores. I love that there's this multi-pronged approach because you guys are pouring the you know, oil on the fire to make these things that are working for you just go even faster. And this is exciting. You guys, congratulations on everything you've done and built. If you have any questions for the Wrist.World team, we're going to have, again, an opportunity for you to be able to connect directly with. You don't, as you know, through the virtual village, you don't have to email us and then we'll make the introduction. Everything is done directly with them. So you can easily connect, ask any follow-up questions that you have, offer any resources. If you're interested on the investment side, if there's any opportunities that you think might align, we want to help. Wrist.World is one of the virtual village future founders. We call you guys future founders because we all are the founders of the future. You're founders today, but we're thinking differently about the world and we're doing things in a unique way. And I think you guys are so inspiring and it's great to have you on. You're some of the first junior high entrepreneurs we've ever had on. So for us, this is very cool to feature you guys. You're going to stand out with our community as well. And I just am so grateful you took the time all the way from Oklahoma to join us, to be on today. We're here as a resource for you guys ongoing. I'm sure we'll be staying very close in touch to see all the exciting things to come forward from you guys. And thank you, Brent, for identifying and recognizing in them how incredible people they are, and helping them turn their ideas into a reality. That takes a lot. You know, it takes a team. And Brent, you saw that early on in Loveworks, and Michael was mentioned, of course, at Loveworks. And it's such an incredible organization. You guys are really, really leading the way to show that, you know, any idea can really, you got to work hard, but it can be turned into a reality, which is so great.
Well, and Alexis, thank you for the community that you're building. I mean, I think this is really wonderful how you're doing this, and the kind of the platform that you're using in ethics and in impact to the world, and trying to really bring these kind of groups together to do the greater good. I just think it's wonderful, and thank you for your efforts there.
You know, it does take a village. You guys are part of it, and you know, we always pay it forward. So that's our goal, is like, you know, we want to help people. We wouldn't be here as founders or in this position to help others if people didn't believe in us. We all have had Brents and Loveworks of the world that helped us get to where we are today, and we're here to definitely be part of this chain of paying it forward. And we're excited for you guys. We're rallying behind you. I really want to go get a wristband now, because I did not know anything about this world before this, and wear it, and we'll definitely share on social media. So thank you guys again for taking the time. It was wonderful to meet all of you. Congrats. And hopefully next time, if you're ever out in San Francisco, let us know. We would love to, of course, meet in person anytime if that's ever possible. And if we're ever in Oklahoma, which, you know, we are going to be traveling around as well, we'll definitely hope to meet up with you guys and get to meet you in person, not just virtually. Well, have a wonderful rest of the day. This is Alexa signing off here at the Virtual Village, and we are going to be sharing the other Q3 Summit meetings and panels, but this was an exciting sip and share, and we're very much looking forward to reporting next quarter what positive outcomes came from this episode, and what in the meantime actually was able to help Wrist.World accomplish their next goals. So signing off, and we'll see you next quarter. Bye.
Bye.